Hey, this is Mohal Joshi from Los Angeles, California. I follow Indian foreign policy and defense with a special focus on Asia. You can follow me on Twitter at Mohal Joshi.
Hey, this is Kishor from Bengaluru in India. I am an international relations expert specializing in global security, conflict resolution, and international negotiation. My focus areas include peace building and digital diplomacy. You can find me on Twitter at Veggie Diplomat.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of India Rising Strategic Conversations with Mohal and Kishor, a show in which we analyze happenings from around the world and their impact on India. Now, before we begin today's episode, we have an update on two of our earlier episodes. In episode 5, we had talked at great lengths about the election in Maldives and how an India-friendly administration had won the elections. Now, New Delhi is all ready to host the current president, Ibu Soli, where he will be hosted at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. This is a special gesture reserved for only the closest of our friends, like the King of Bhutan and Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. So it needs to be seen what are the outcomes of this state level visit. If you haven't heard the episode, we recommend you to listen to episode 5. Also in episode 8, which was our last episode before the current one, we had tried to explain how Sri Lanka was going through a bizarre sequence of political events, leading to a constitutional crisis on the island. The Supreme Court in Sri Lanka had intervened to adjudicate the president's order to dismiss the parliament was invalid. In addition to this, Ranil Wickremesinghe, the ousted prime minister, proved his majority on the floor of the house by amassing a 116 votes out of a possible 125. As
225.
225, sorry. As things stand today, Ranil Wickremesinghe is all set to take oath again as the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka. Again, if you haven't heard that particular episode, we urge you to listen to episode 8. You might be pleasantly surprised to hear a weird Indian story with the raw Indian intelligence agency hand in it, mind you, which was just an allegation which died out as quickly as it started floating. So, in today's episode, we will be talking about the recent thawing in Indo-Pak relations with the groundbreaking ceremony conducted at Kartarpur for a corridor to allow Sikhs passport-free visa access to cross into Kartarpur, Narowal District, Punjab, Pakistan. So, Kishore, what is this so-called Kartarpur Corridor, which has been in the news for the last few weeks?
Right. So Gurudwara Darbar Sahib, better known as Kartarpur Sahib, is located across the river Ravi in Punjab. Is one of the holiest of Sikh shrines. It is built on the site where Guru Nanak, the first Guru of Sikh religion, spent the last 18 years of his life. It is 4 kilometers away from the international border inside Pakistani territory. Currently, devotees either have to obtain a Pakistani visa and take the long route to get to the Gurudwara, or have to view the shrine with the help of binoculars set up by the border security force just before the border fence. Once the corridor is complete, devotees will have easy, visa-free access to the shrine. The Kartarpur Corridor, which would be facilitating visa-free travel of Indian Sikh pilgrims to Gurudwara Darbar Sahib in Kartarpur, is expected to be completed by about 6 months, which would roughly sync up with Guru Nanak's 550th birth anniversary next year.
So, I mean, this idea for the Kartarpur corridor, is it a recent one? I mean, how about the proposal? I mean, most of us hadn't heard of this. And how did it suddenly come about to fruition in 2018?
Right. So again, ever since partition, there had been demand from the Sikh diaspora and the Sikh families in Punjab asking for access to this Gurudwara. But the actual move for the corridor was first mooted officially through the official channels during Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's visit to Lahore in 1999. India claims that the 2-decade-old request has since been lying pending with Pakistan. The issue of Kartarpur Sahib came into focus after Punjab Minister Navjot Singh Sidhu visited Pakistan in August to attend the oath-taking ceremony of his cricketer turned politician friend Imran Khan as Prime Minister of Pakistan. After his return, Sidhu indicated that the Pakistani army chief, Qamar Javed Bajwa, had told him that Pakistan may open a corridor to Kartarpur Sahib. Interestingly, it has been reported that Sidhu at Imran Khan's oath-taking ceremony was to be seated in the fourth row in the Ivan Sadr Hall, but a seat in the first row was kept aside, which was subsequently given to Sidhu as soon as he arrived. This move allowed for an easier, quote unquote, chance meeting with General Bajwa, who actually wanted to convey the suggestion for a Kartarpur corridor. So, Mohal, you want to explain what happened at that particular event in Pakistan?
Yeah, so Prime Minister Imran Khan at the ceremony laid the foundation stone for a corridor linking Gurudwara Darbar Sahib in Pakistan's Kartarpur, the final resting place of Sikhs faith's founder Guru Nanak Dev, to Dera Baba Nanak Shrine in India's Gurdaspur district to facilitate visa-free movement of Indian Sikh pilgrims. Now, India at the event was represented by two union ministers, Harsimrat called Badal and Hardeep Singh Puri. Now, the Punjab was represented by its cabinet minister Navjot Singh Sidhu, who had attended the ceremony. Now, during the ceremony, Pakistan initially handed over a program schedule that included only Sidhu among the Indian politicians in the list of speakers. Now, this was ignoring the diplomatic protocol that the Union Minister Badal was leading the delegation, which would have been a major diplomatic embarrassment for India. Also, neither of the two Indian ministers, Badal or Puri, was initially the part of list of dignitaries to be honored with saropas like the Sikh dress of honor or gifts. India rightly objected and officially took up the matter through diplomatic channels with Islamabad, only after which Badal got to speak at the event. Furthermore, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan unduly raised the Kashmir issue during the foundation leg ceremony of the historic corridor, where instead of focusing on the event itself. Interestingly, just a couple of days prior, Indian diplomats were stopped not one but three times by Pak officials as Nankana Sahib Gurudwara. I mean, they were stopped from performing their diplomatic duties and unnecessarily harassed. The Ministry of External Affairs did issue a strongly worded release against Pakistan's move to harass Indian diplomats and deny them consular access, consular access to Indian Sikh pilgrims who were visiting the holy shrines in Pakistan. The release stated, and I quote, India has today lodged a strong protest with the government of Pakistan that despite having been granted prior travel permission by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, the consular officials of the High Commission of India in Islamabad were harassed and denied access on 21st and 22nd November 2018 at Gurudwara Nankana Sahib and Gurudwara Sacha Sauda to the Indian pilgrims visiting Pakistan under the bilateral protocol. As a result of such harassment, they were compelled to return to Islamabad without performing their diplomatic and consular duties vis-a-vis the Indian pilgrims. End of quote. So this the release also expressed India's grave concern at Pakistan provoking Khalistani separatism by greeting Sikh pilgrims with secessionist posters and insignia. India called it an attempt to incite communal disharmony and intolerance and promote secessionist tendencies with the objective of undermining India's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and called upon Islamabad to take all measures to not allow its territory to be used for any hostile propaganda and support for secessionist tendencies against India, in keeping with the commitments under the 1972 Shimla Agreement and endorsed in the 1999 Lahore Declaration. I mean, it's also interesting that Pakistan is even allowed the separatist Khalistani leader Gopal Singh Chawla at the function, who mingled freely at the event of the foundation laying ceremony, and even got a picture taken with Navjot Singh Sidhu, who conveniently pleaded in ignorance. In the space of a few hours, the Pakistanis had created an impression of extreme generosity and large heartedness to the media present at the venue.
Wow, fascinating. So, what is the significance of this event for Pakistan then?
So, the Kartarpur Corridor shows the role of what we call the Pakistani deep state and its effort to leverage the fault lines in Indian politics.
You
So,
mean you
first,
mean the Pakistani army,
yeah, it's the Pakistani army and the ISI
right?
and the military jihadi complex. So the diplomatic, so firstly, see, the diplomatic protocols were broken by Pakistan to elevate Sidhu's profile versus two union cabinet ministers. Now it was no coincidence that in the ceremony Pakistani singled out the Navjot Singh Sidhu for praise to drive a wedge between the Akalis and the BJP on one side and the Congress party in India. An example of this was that during the introductory video at the ceremony, it showed Sidhu in a starring role. Now, the Pakistani deep state, as I said, like the army, the ISI, the inter-services intelligence, and other non-state actors, including the militants, um, uh, like believes that the situation is ripe to open up a second front in Punjab. Now, today, as of today, the Indian Army is Operation All Out, which is an operation to flush out the militants in Kashmir, has been a success, where the armed forces have been able to eliminate a lot of terrorists. So this has forced Pakistan to on the back foot, and what they're trying to do here is they're trying to open up a second front against India to keep the pressure on India. They believe that with the approaching 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak, it is a good moment to mobilize support within certain elements of the Sikh community to create instability within Punjab and therefore India. So, Kishore, like, do you think this will be what is the strategic concern for India by this move from Pakistan?
Right. So the Pakistanis have tried to incite or even instigate the Sikh communities and the diaspora in Canada, Germany, Australia, the United States, and also the United Kingdom to turn them up against India, which thankfully has not borne much success up until now. Their aim is
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
revive militancy in Punjab to destabilize India. An example of this was the grenade attack on a religious congregation in Amritsar on the 25th of November, which left three people dead. Upon investigation, it was found that the handlers of the terrorists were from across the border in Pakistan. This is all happening coupled with a demand for a Sikh referendum in 2020 to become independent, which is being pushed by fringe groups across the world. Now, the concern is that once pilgrims cross the border into Pakistani territory, it becomes extremely difficult for Indian intelligence to keep an eye out on them across the border in Pakistan, they could potentially be brainwashed by anti-India elements who would then be used to create unrest when they return back to India. This would pose grave national security risk for India in the future, which, given Pakistan's track record over the past 70 years, they will be bound to exploit this vulnerability that we have. Furthermore, apart from the Kartarpur Corridor becoming a strategic vulnerability, Pakistan may also choose to keep this as a lever in its dealing with India, knowing that India cannot take a step back from this due to religious sentiments. With the next dip in bilateral relations, whenever it happens, Pakistan can choose to close down the corridor without any advance notice if they want to keep Indian hands tied.
So, Kishore, what are the domestic political implications in Punjab from this move?
Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has expressed concerns about renewed Khalistani extremist activities. Captain Singh was quick to decline the invitation, citing the continued terror attacks in Punjab and killing of Indian soldiers on the line of control. He made it clear that Navjot Singh Sidhu was on a personal trip and not an official representative of the Punjab state government. Captain Singh, who served in the Indian Army before entering politics, is aware about the consequences of this corridor, which could be dangerous for Punjab and India, given that Pakistan had sheltered numerous Khalistani terrorists in the past. Captain Singh was already angry that Sidhu few months ago had hugged the Pakistani chief of army staff, who was responsible for killing thousands of Indians. And once Navjot Singh Sidhu returned back to India, there was this press conference in which Sidhu kind of retorted to a question asking, how did your captain respond? He replied back telling that Captain Amrinder Singh was not his captain, but Rahul Gandhi, the chief of the Congress party, was his captain. So this led to some amount of bad blood between these two, led to quite a bit of bickering as well. And Captain Amrinder Singh, on his part, had indicated in 2016 that that would be the last election that he would fight, irrespective of whether he would win or not. And with Captain Singh's impending retirement from active politics in 2021, Sidhu, who has been eyeing the CM chair for himself, would want to take credit for the opening of the corridor to endear himself to the Punjabi masses to build up his profile well in time for 2021.
Yeah, I mean, Sidhu, many people suspect that all this backroom dealings or machinations by Sidhu is all to become the political leader in 2021, but I'm not sure if it fully understands all the security implications he's putting India and Punjab into by his dealings with the Pakistanis and including the Pakistani army.
Yes, especially because he has made very soft remarks on how he feels at home when he goes to Pakistani Punjab, and how he feels alien when he comes to South India, and many such uncharitable remarks that he has made of late. Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, so with all this, does it actually mean a restoration of bilateral ties between India and Pakistan? Mind you, all these have been frozen since the Uri terrorist attack and the retaliatory surgical strikes thereafter.
so some in the media, have started to think of this as a new dawn or a thaw, as they say in the bilateral ties. They have willingly lapped up the propaganda blitz by the Pakistanis regarding their generosity in allowing Sikh pilgrims to pay homage at the shrine of Guru Nanak Dev. But this so-called, many people refer to as the Aman Ki Asha group, forget that many of these outreaches in the past have only resulted in Pakistani later backstabbing India. One can think of the Lahore Bus Yatra followed by the Kargil War, the Agra Summit followed by an attack on Parliament, and several other examples. So Pakistan, as history has shown, is most likely playing a double game here. On one hand, it says it wants peace, but on the other hand, it refuses to crack down on the terrorists, including the bringing to justice the perpetrators of 26/11 terrorist attacks. So it is like a double standard there. Now the Union government on the Indian side has indeed taken a brave step in allowing the opening of this corridor. Now, many have alleged that with the national elections around the corner, this decision was taken to with domestic political considerations. Now, there is a risk of opening a strategic vulnerability with this move. Now, God forbid if there was some untoward incident in the future, the union government will have to bear the cost of this move both politically and strategically. At such a time, questions would then be raised, especially by the vocal opposition, that if the move was entirely thought through by the central government.
Okay, yeah. So how was Pakistan able to sell it to Indians then?
I mean, when Shah Mahmud Qureshi met the Indians in Islamabad, he categorically said this is basically he first said there was a googly, then he said there was no googly to emphasize the sincerity of our intentions. So he did a complete U-turn within few days and boasted that government had bowled googly that compelled India to send two ministers to Pakistan. Now, mind you, I mean, Imran Khan is a fast bowler, and I don't think he'll be very good at bowling googlies. Now, the
Yeah.
problem with this leap of faith, however, is
And
that
in
India.
fact, in fact, Sushma Swaraj replied back strongly, saying we don't play googlies when it comes to religious matters or matters of faith.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the problems here is that with the leap of faith, however, India has once again mixed up its single signals and it's committing the same mistake, trusting Pakistan's words when intentions speak otherwise. Now, it reveals the volumes about Indian Pakistan policy or maybe the lack of it, where we remain trapped within this outrage and outreach cycle where on one hand there is outrage over a terrorist event, and then after a few years people like try to do an outreach, or maybe a new government tries to do an outreach, and then again there is attack, so you go back to that and there is no breaking of this cycle, unfortunately. So
Mhm.
they remain like impulsive and episodic gestures where you continuously cycle between outrage. So I mean, India's inconsistency on Pakistan not only damages bilateral ties but also diminishes New Delhi's credibility as a key actor in world affairs. Now,
Agree.
if anything, this is the worst time for the Kartarpur gesture, given the strong indications that have emerged out of Pakistan trying to open India's Khalistani wound and targeting Punjab as the next front for undermining India's sovereignty after Kashmir. On that score, I mean, India showed up as it should have at Kartarpur Sahib. Like the government of India made a distinction between respecting the Sikh faith and the probable machinations of the Pakistan government and the army or the deep state. It did confine political representation at the event to those who both practice the faith and represent the community, and did not shy away from giving strong statements when needed. So in short, like I mean, one can say that government of India read the googly correctly and sprayed it with a straight bat.
Mhm.
So I mean, however, it needs to recognize that the situation is always fluid with Pakistan. I mean, it does change like very quickly within a matter of few months. Now, unlike the first few years of Prime Minister Modi, when in India had an element of surprise, like now with the game has changed with like Imran Khan's ascending to the prime minister's chair, and like I mean things could change at any moment because he is pretty close to the Pakistani deep state. or the army. So, Kishore, like, what has been the reaction to this event in the Indian state of Punjab?
Right. So, Indian state of Punjab, the lawmakers within Punjab, they were quite ecstatic about this event. This has been a long pending demand, mind you. And the assembly met yesterday and they passed a resolution. Initially, they wanted to congratulate both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan on the Kartarpur Sahib corridor initiative. Uh, Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh also hoped that the proposed corridor would be a bridge of peace. But he kind of reiterated that he would go there only when Pakistan stops weaponizing Kashmiri terror groups in Kashmir and when the ISI stops designs to spread terror in Punjab. Now, to this, the members of the opposition parties, which are the Aam Aadmi Party and the Shiromani Akali Dal, however, reacted sharply to Amrinder Singh's remarks and asked him not to link the Kartarpur Sahib corridor issue with terrorism. I think this kind of makes sense for BJP, the Akali Dal, and the Aam Aadmi Party, simply because they would want to take credit for opening the corridor, while for Congress, Navjot Singh Sidhu would anyway go hammer and tongs trying to claim credit for this. Now, be it as it may, eventually the Punjab Assembly passed a resolution suggesting a swapping of land with Pakistan to bring the Kartarpur Sahib Gurudwara across the border within Indian territory. And the MLA, the member of the Legislative Assembly, representing Dera Baba Nanak on this side of the border, he kind of voluntarily indicated that he would be happy to give up land in exchange for getting the Kartarpur shrine as well. So as things stand today, Punjab Assembly has passed the resolution, but I don't think it would go beyond that for the time being, and it would just lay with the Indian government with nothing being done. But at the same time, what happened in the state of Jammu and Kashmir was also equally interesting. Mehbooba Mufti, the head of PDP, the People's Democratic Party, the ex-chief minister, she also tweeted saying that the Sharda Peeth shrine in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir should also be opened similarly for the Kashmiri Pandits to go and visit the shrine whenever they want to. So again, this has been a long pending demand for the Kashmiri Pandits, especially since they have not had a chance to visit the shrine ever since partition. So such new demands would be made. We would get to hear many such new demands being made on and off. But that is where things stand as of today.
But see, the land swap agreement, I know we had a long standing land swap agreement with Bangladesh, which took like probably like 70 years in the making, which was finally, I think, signed by the Modi government, which should be given due credit. I don't know if it will be a straightforward land swap agreement that first of all, land swap agreements are hard to negotiate. So
Agree.
even if there's a political will on both sides, I mean, it won't happen overnight, especially in an election year.
And there is nothing to gain for Pakistan from this. Just a piece of land for Kartarpur may not mean much, especially because the Sikh diaspora from across the world would come to Pakistan. I mean, even if you look at it purely from a tourism angle, it would bring in a lot of money for them. And with the birthplace of Guru Nanak also being in Pakistan, these two by themselves would be good enough for them to have a Sikh tourist circuit. So I don't think Pakistan would be willing to ever give up on that, even when you look at it from a tourism perspective. Add to that the Khalistani angle as well, where again you spoke at length about how they would want to use it as a breeding ground for brainwashing the Indian pilgrims who would cross the border, go into their territory, and return back. So Pakistan would want to use these kind of people as sleeper cells within the Indian territory to be used at a later stage to increase the Khalistani incitement. So I think Pakistan has no benefit whatsoever to agree to this land swap agreement, and at the same time, as you said, the political will and the differing election cycles with India and Pakistan, all these have a role to play. So I don't see this happening in a long time to come.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think Pakistan, if it has a lever to, as you said, like push in sleeper agents into India through this corridor, why would they give up their strategic lever over India, where having this shrine in Pakistan would be of better use, where they could close down the route some fine day when like Indian and Pakistan relations would even go worse, let's say post a terrorist attack. So there would be no benefit for them to give this up. I mean, if there are negotiations, they might even ask, might want to extract more from India, like maybe like resumption of SARC talks or
Mhm.
something more fruitful, which would be in their best interest. I mean, they would be just giving up a strategic lever for nothing with a simple land swap agreement.
Agree, agree. Okay, so let's quickly switch over to recommendations. Listeners, if you are listening to our episode for the first time, each episode we recommend to you any book, article, or any other read that we feel might interest you. Keeping the practice going, I would like to recommend a document that I read in Ministry of External Affairs website. This was a protocol signed between India and Pakistan way back in September of 1974, where it kind of elaborated on the protocol on visits to religious shrines on both sides of the border. Mind you, there are many Islamic religious shrines in India, like those in Ajmer, the Ajmer Dargah, then the Nizamuddin Dargah in New Delhi, and also Amir Khusro Hasrat in Delhi, and many others in India. And at the same time, the Katashraj Dham in Lahore, which is reverential for Hindus, and the Gurudwara of Sri Nankana Sahib close to Rawalpindi, and Panja Sahib in Rawalpindi, and the Dera Sahib in Lahore. So this is the protocol that was signed way back in 1974, and with this existing protocol, with this existing treaty, religious visits were facilitated. Now, to add Kartarpur into this would have required a treaty to be conducted again between India and Pakistan, which I'm pretty sure would not have happened way in time for the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Singh. So I think this was a move which kind of worked around the existing protocol of visa-free, passport-free access through the help of a corridor. And this is the document that I would highly recommend. So I would be posting the link to this in our program notes.
I
And
wish, sir,
Mohal, sorry,
I
yeah.
wish, I wish Sir Cyril Ratcliffe had read the document and demarcated the border much better than what it is right now. I mean, it's just like ridiculous how many shrines you listed on the border, which are on the wrong side of the border. So, I mean, it shows like this was done in such a hurry. I guess over just a few weeks between July 1947, and the consequences of which India and Pakistan are living up to this day.
Oh, indeed. In fact, Sir Ratcliffe did not even visit the province of Punjab. He was in Delhi and he had maps given to him, and he wrote those lines on the map of undivided India. So you can imagine how ill sighted he was when he took the decision.
Yeah, I mean, nothing, too late to change now. So,
I know, yeah, yeah. Okay, so Mohal, what is your recommendation for the week?
I'll recommend an article in Daily O that was written
Mhm.
by our former Raw Chief Sir Vikram Sood. That was an excellent article on the Kartarpur and the implications of opening, the security implications of opening a corridor with visa-free access to people from both sides of the border.
Fascinating. Yeah, so we can share that link as well in the program notes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that, dear listeners, wraps up today's episode on Kartarpur Corridor and how it might have an unforeseen consequence on the internal security within India. To continue hearing about such interesting topics, do subscribe to our channel India Rising and also tap on the bell icon to be notified whenever a new episode becomes available. We would also like to hear from you if you have any suggestions on any topics that you would like us to cover. Do remember that these topics should be directly related to Indian foreign policy. Until the next episode, this is Mohal and Kishor signing off.